what's coming up next.
Wow, I can't even imagine what twisted, deviant act you've thought of this time.
You're listening to The Rob Dibble Show.
Back on The Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive here on Fox Sports Radio. Lincoln Kennedy, former NFL lineman for 11 years with the Falcons and the Raiders. And then in 2023, just recently voted into the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame.
Nice!
3 straight trips with Washington to the Rose Bowl. Didn't even, bring it to mind until, I saw this online, Lincoln. Lincoln Kennedy joins us now. What was that like going to the Rose Bowl 3 years in a row?
Divs, what's up, brother? How you
doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. We go back a long way. You know what? Here's the thing. I will say this. I'm certainly honored to be honored by the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame, but they put me in the worst freaking car where my legs were all up in my neck. I had to fit in for a parade that was only 2.5 miles long, but it took 2 hours to get to the end of the parade. Anyways, long story short, I'm happy to be there.
But you couldn't move your legs after.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right. Dips. You're a big man like I am.
Yes, I am.
Being parked up and being folded up and that smile, wave, look for the camera. Yeah. I need another one. Anyways, it's all good to be with you, brother.
What is to come of the Rose Bowl now? I mean, Washington's a Big Ten team. How is this all going to work this year, Link?
No, I don't know. Going forward, I know that the mighty dollar is the mighty dollar. And I go back to the rules that the man with all the gold makes all the rules. So it is what it is. I will say this in summation. I don't understand, or I really don't know how the NC2A or whomever the powers that be are going to put the cap on the genie bottle, because NIL has forever changed the world of sports.
Yeah.
Talking to Lincoln Kennedy, does games for the Raiders now as well. What were your thoughts, and what are your thoughts on preseason? Can you see enough from the specialty players, the guys trying to make rosters? We've been talking about this for weeks. How hard is it now to be a player in the NFL on the bubble with not that much time to play these games?
Hey, Dibs, I'll go back to the proverbial words for Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice. Man, we're talking about practice. That is what it is. And that's what it is. Preseason games have become a glorified practice. More teams have gone out to practice versus teams to get a gauge of where their team is. And over the last 4 or 5 years, especially after COVID, you had more coaches who said, you know what, I'm going to rely on the first month of the regular season to see where my team is. I think, we're coming out of the sort of cluster of what that is, the cloud of what that is, to see where we are, Dibs. The fact is that, there are more teams that are trying to evaluate guys off of preseason football and off of the evaluation period, where you have, young guys who probably won't make an NFL team where they stand, but you're trying to build depth because your roster going into preseason, going into training camp has already been established.
What are you seeing in these practices with the Raiders between Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew? We love them both, but only one guy can get the job.
Well, according to Antonio Pierce and his staff, Gardner Minshew has got the starting nod going into the season. I understand it. I might not necessarily agree with it, but I understand it. So Gardner Minshew is going to be the starting quarterback going to the Raiders moving into 24th season, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. First of all, by the way, the stadium is gorgeous. Just describe, Vegas, because I know a lot of MLB people are wondering what the Vegas A's are in for, but
right.
The difference in moving stadiums, Oakland, L.A., to now Vegas, and just a beautiful house, what's that like for the modern-day player?
Entertainment capital of the world.
Yep.
Best way I can put it, Dibs. Entertainment capital of the world. You're going to have the who's who singing the national anthem, the who's who performing at halftime, the who's who. Where do I go on? I mean, it is the entertainment capital of the world for a reason.
Talking big boy stuff, I've been wondering about the Philadelphia Eagles and what they're like without their center. I do think that this is the most important position on the field on offense besides the quarterback. But losing Jason Kelsey, like, what's that going to do for this line?
You know what? It's a resurgence where you want to restart. The fact is, the center in most offenses that I ever played in was the general of the offensive line. He dictated pass blocks. He dictated, turning strategies, blocking strategies, on and on. But the fact is that when you start and reload there, you got to get used to a new person who's calling the calls, who's making the calls. The quarterback has a great relationship with the center above and beyond reasons. But the fact is that when you sit there in the center, you leave it up to the center to make the call. He's got to make the right call, or the quarterback gets killed. That's why it's a relationship that's beyond comprehension.
Talking to Lincoln Kennedy, former NFL offensive lineman, now Raiders color analyst. Talk about your division. Kansas City's pretty much dominated. They're trying to get a three-peat in the Super Bowl now. Can the Raiders overtake them, or even when they get to the postseason this year, can they go on to greater heights this year?
Well, they did beat them in, the Christmas Day of last year, but that does not translate to postseason football. The fact is that I've always said this as Dibs, as if you're a player or you're a person that wants to be the best, you have to take down the best. The only way to do that is to dethrone the current Super Bowl champion. I don't know if the Raiders are there yet, but it's something that we're going to have fun watching, and we'll see what happens.
What about the two teams with kind of new coaches? Sean Payton's still new there in Denver, but a total new coaching staff there for the L.A. Chargers with Harbaugh and company. Well, what do you expect for these two teams?
Here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't tend to worry about the other ones around. I'm just chasing the top, if that makes sense. Dibs, come on, man. You played this game. You played the game. You know how it is in professional sports.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You don't chase the underlings.
Right.
You chase the captain. You chase the top. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. I mean, I go through this every year when it comes to, talking about the surroundings, talking about where you are as a team. If you're not in a position where you can challenge the captain, you can challenge the king, you're not doing anything.
As far as offensive linemen, and transferring and things like that, is that like you? Let's go back to college football for a second. Would that have killed the game in your day? Because there was a lot of offensive linemen, meaning like draft picks, stuff like that. I mean, you got to see a guy for 3 years and go like, okay, that's the best left tackle in college football. If you were to bang around the three different teams chasing money, would that have hurt your draft status?
Great question. Damn, Dibs. You got me thinking here. Here's what I'll say.
Well, you were a top 10 pick in the draft.
Well, thank you very much. You're right. But here's what I say. As far as evaluation goes, if I look at an offensive lineman and I see that you are first down and goal to go on the 5-yard line, and you're going from a 2-point stance, I suddenly lost all respect for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I mean, here's the thing. I would not want an offensive lineman to get down and first down and goal, and I'm in a 2-point stance. Who do you think you are? Are you going up for a route? Are you running tackle eligible? Get your little ass in a stance, push the guy in front of you, score with your guy. That's what I know is to beat at football. That's what I know to be football. Does that make sense, Dib?
It makes total sense. But also, you were 6'6", 350, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You and I go back a long way.
Yep.
But on added to your point, if you've got guys that are supposed to be bigger and stronger,
yep.
Why would I think you have less recoil and less ability to push forward?
I couldn't agree with you more, man.
Especially me standing in front of you.
I'm just saying, if you're not scoring with your man, you're not scoring. I wanted to push my guys in the back of the end zone to the back pylon of the goalpost to show that, you know what, who's the man here? And when you get up, yes, call me daddy. That's what I'm looking for.
You could have been in my bullpen, you know that, with that attitude. I would not want to face you standing on the mound.
I watch you as a player. Like I said, we go back.
That's right.
History. I know the man that you are. Yes. I would have been
it's something you can't put in kids.
When it came down to it.
Yep.
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's exactly my point. The game has changed for however you want to look at it, whatever. I get it. Showcase your superstars. But I'm telling you that when it comes to what I did and what I want to be about, if I'm not scoring with my man, I'm doing something wrong.
How's the running game going to be in Vegas? Zamir White taking over. He's had some injuries, but is he ready to be the man there in the backfield?
Big body by committee. It's not going to be a single-man show. It's going to be a showcase that shows off a number of different numbers. It is what it is. That's the current climate of the NFL.
Right.
Long gone are the guys that are going to carry it 300-plus times forward. This is going to be running back by committee, unanimous football, because you have to keep your stars on the field for a number of reasons that we don't have the time to get into, but it is what it is.
We've seen a number of guys, whether it be the Patriots, they just traded Juden. You got the Jets are fighting with, their specialty guys on money. Would you pay these guys and just get them back in the fold?
You have to weigh the plus versus the minuses, if that makes sense, Dibs. The fact is that you'll have some of these premier defensive corners that are going to want to capture the market for as much money as they can. But does the payout translate into reward? Do they become a shutdown corner that you need? I don't necessarily see that with the free agents that are available.
Has it gotten better? Has the NFL learned the value of the lineman?
No. And here's the thing. It's not to the extent or the detriment of the NFL. The fact is that you've got less and less offensive linemen that are coming out of college that know how to block people.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between blocking people and getting in the way. I can get in the way. You can be a parking barrier, or you can be a drive-through barrier. That's getting in the way. But do you know how to block somebody? Do you know how to come off the ball and be physical? Very few teams don't have the capability.
What do you think about the offensive linemen coming out of college now, like even this year's draft? Soft? Is that coaching? Are they too easy on these guys?
It's the product of the game, Dibs. It's the product of the game. Here's the thing. I don't have an extent knowledge of baseball like you have. But I know when I went back to my days and helping out my kids, T-ball teams and everything else, when somebody approaches me and tells me at the age of 10, 11, or 12 or somewhere around there, I'm going to have my son do Tommy John surgery because I want him to throw a curveball. Dibs, you're a pitcher. What does that say to you?
It's nuts.
Yes.
These parents are nuts.
Yes. Yes. But I saw that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I translate that to what we see today. There are more and more places around the country where you have more and more schools and more kids that don't play any other sport than football. Yep. They play football, then they weight train, they train year-round for football. When you and I were kids, we played every sport that we could.
Absolutely.
And so when I talk to kids and I talk to parents, I was like, well, my kid's 12 years old and he's just about to start high school. What should he be doing? Playing basketball?
Yeah.
Throwing track and field and football? I mean, those types of things to help them become a better football player. They don't have that. So when you talk about the college game and how it's manifested to what we look at today, the progression is if I walk to an offensive line and I see 3 out of the 5 linemen can't get into a 3-point stance because all they practiced was a 2-point stance at college,
so true.
That's a disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not as physical as I thought you were. And more importantly, when you translate that to other sports, and you know this, Dib, if you can't throw a fastball, I'm not worried about you worrying about a curveball, a fastball and a changeup, you're at a disadvantage.
100%.
So why would I ask you to have your 12-year-old son or daughter have Tommy John surgery so it can better equip their curveball? At 12 and 13, Dibs? Am I speaking out of speaking out of my mind here?
No
way.
No, one of our biggest sponsors is
Help
an
me
orthopedic
understand.
surgery place, and it's up 500%. It's insane, the injuries. Because
That's
of
what I'm
specialization. I mean, I guarantee you played basketball, correct?
Absolutely.
Track and field, you probably did something else.
Through the shot put and discus, through did all of that. And I thought that when I played handball or racquetball in a tight window, it had no benefit to what I did. When I translated on the next level, I am actually battling in a parking space. I'm battling in a phone booth.
Phone booth.
I
Right.
get that from handball. I get that from racquetball. I get that from basketball. I can't generate that in football unless I practice it.
What was your Little League jersey?
I didn't, here's the thing. I turn back to the hands of time. I didn't start playing sports until I was in 10th grade of high school, guys.
Really?
I was a band geek.
What?
I played the
What
What
instrument?
was it?
trumpet.
Of course.
Of course it was.
Do you still
So
play?
here's the
Can
thing.
you still
here's
play
a
it?
little story about me. Yeah, here's the well, I wish I couldn't. Believe me, I love music. I damn sure wish I could. Here's the story about me. My high school coach, during a high school halftime show, saw me out there performing with the marching band, came over to me, and he said, "What grade are you in?" He's like, I said, ninth grade. Coach Shacklet, I love him to death. He's my biggest mentor. He's the reason why I got into this game in the first place.
Yeah.
He said, I said, ninth grade. He's like, "You're coming out for football next year." Okay. That was it.
Oh, my God.
The rest
That's
is
maybe
history.
one of the greatest stories I've ever heard. Did you have the whole outfit and everything?
I did. I had the spats on my shoes and everything, and I was proud. I was a proud-ass, big-ass trumpet player.
That's awesome.
Oh, my God. That is the greatest thing. We'll leave it right there. Love you, Lincoln. You are the best.
Thank you.
Dibs, I love you, brother. You got
All
me.
right. Absolutely.
You need me. I got you, brother.
Yep. Thank you, Lincoln.
Anytime. Have a good one,
All right.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
One of the best people I've ever met, Lincoln Kennedy, everybody. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back to First Dibs question of the day.